Underwood. Thin ice!
So I can't knock down a triple here. Woo, okay. Didn't even miss a shot this entire time, so take that. This better be good for the team.
Oh,
I thought for sure.
there it is. Boom! Yes!
All right, Live Basketball Podcast, episode 251. Trying to find the golf. There we go. All right. Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, people would say. I mean, nobody cares about that because Illinois taking care of business last night at the, what do they call it, the barn?
The barn.
Illinois, Brad Underwood now what, 9-2 against Minnesota or something? Those two losses are to Patino. He hasn't lost to Ben Johnson yet, so take that.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't think it was a good win, but that's all right.
I never said that. I said that people on Twitter were talking about Brad's adjustments, and I don't know if it was so much his adjustments or if it was that Minnesota played one-on-one basketball against all our studs, and they tore them apart. There was no help defense from Minnesota. There was nothing. I think Brad said afterwards that their goal was to work from the rim and move back. Three-point shooting still a big part of their game. It's just what Minnesota gave them tonight. So I don't think I'm out of line for saying that. It's hard to judge based on this game if this team's changed so much, which I don't care if they changed. They shot 56% from three, so they found their shot. Will Riley went on an absolute heater. It seemed like he could make everything, and then he took a heat check three. That wasn't very good, and missed it. But most complete game they've had since Indiana, maybe. I don't even know.
I think this was more complete than almost any game they've had.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You got production from almost everybody that played, minutes that mattered. Merez Johnson struggled this game a little bit. 3 rebounds for him, 1 for 4 from the field. Got blocked inside a few times. Just very unlike him. He only played 15 minutes this game too. And I mean, DGL played 4. I know he's sick. And then Trey White came in for a minute, 2 fouls, and see you later. So I think Brad said he hasn't practiced all week with the team. So I think that's why his minutes were limited. But
well, one thing that I find very confusing is how did Minnesota beat Michigan and Oregon? And I guess the difference is that Dawson Garcia played really, really well in those games, and he did not in this game. I thought this was one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from a player against Illinois. I thought he was awful defensively in this game.
Yeah, and Illinois kept switching up who was guarding him. Boswell started on him, I believe, and then Hummer guarded him a little bit, and Will Riley guarded him a little bit. So they kind of switched up what they were doing. If a Duke Ale doesn't somehow figure out how to shoot threes this game, I mean, Minnesota does. I mean, they don't score 70. So, excuse me.
There was also a Hummer 3 in the second half on a pass from Will Riley where Garcia and Rigsby both dropped to the same guy, and it was just wide open. So that's another example of the lack of communication. I just thought Minnesota didn't look like a very well-coached team last night, and Illinois took advantage. Illinois probably could have scored more points had they come out a little faster, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Minnesota was up 9-2 or whatever, but Illinois still scored a bunch early. I mean, they ended up, 46 in the first half, 30 or 49 in the second half. And Minnesota never had an answer. Like that Lukai Patterson is a good player, but that's not going to be enough, especially when you get Mike Mitchell had 3 points in this game. He's a guy who had 17 against Illinois and went 4 for 4 from 3 last year when they played.
Yeah.
And another part of it is obviously Dawson Garcia. Like, if he wants to play like a guard, let him play like a guard. He goes 1 for 5 from 3, only 6 rebounds. I feel like you got to have more than that. I mean, he's the one guy that plays that's 6'10" or above, other than Trey Edmonds, who played 4 minutes. So, and Frank Mitchell's a big body, but Dawson Garcia, I think, is the biggest reason why Minnesota got blasted in this game.
Yeah, and 1 for 5 from 3. He made his first one, and then I don't think he ever made one that. Kasparis returned to form, took the brace off or whatever he was, the sleeve. You said that his shot looked terrible still, but I didn't agree with that.
Just trying to hype him up.
Yeah,
he made 2 of the next 3 after that.
Yeah, and the one that he missed that you said wasn't good was literally in the basket.
It was wide open though. You gotta make those.
So, who would your player of the game be this game?
I think it would probably be Will Riley. I mean, he looked like a pure scorer. That was probably the most high school like Will Riley we've seen this year, where he just makes pretty much everything. I mean, he goes 11 for 17 from the field, made all 3 free throws, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, didn't have any turnovers, had a block, 27 points. He was excellent. Kasparis, both of them were really good. And I think Ivica deserves a ton of praise after this one. I mean, he comes in, we saw the ankle thing in the last game. I don't know if we thought he was going to play or not. I know he had 4 turnovers, but he had 18 and 11 and made 2 for 2 from 3, went 8 for 9 from the field. So he was excellent.
I noticed his threes. It looked like he took a little extra time, just an extra second. They had a little bit more arch on him in this game, it looked like. Brad said that his ankle looked like a Cabernet grape, which I don't know much about wine, but I know that's a dark red. So it's impressive that he played 33 minutes on an ankle, if that's what it was looking like.
Especially on a court where you could die if you fall off the edge of the, of the court, which that ref almost did all the way.
And his only miss this game was a really nice pass by Hummer inside, and he kind of short-armed it and then got his rebound and put it right back in. So that was really the only hiccup from him. And then defensively, I thought he was phenomenal, protecting the rim. There was a time when Garcia got to the rim and Tommy, blocked him, I believe. The team was just it was really good. I think this is a game they really needed, especially going into the rest of the season, because it's not going to get any easier. So I would also go with Will Riley, player of the game.
I think 21 assists has to be like the most they've had this year, or close. They had 19 against Oregon. I just looked.
Okay.
They had, I think, 18 against Penn State. I can't think of another game where they would have had 21 or more. Oh, okay, I found it. They had 26 against Chicago State. So the most assists they've had against an actual D1 opponent this season, I think.
Yeah, and
unless Arkansas they had more, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I think the Tommy factor is a big part of that. I mean, he doesn't always get assists on his passes, but he finds guys in ways where they're cutting to the rim. And I felt like Illinois did cut better this game, which is something they were lacking. Again, the on-ball defense of Minnesota was atrocious, though. It was clearly bad. And I mean, when Will Riley's cooking like that and you don't even come over to help him ever, it's a show of, this team is able to do this, but can they do it when teams are guarding driving lanes and helping off and stuff like that? So we'll see what happens. Don't be surprised if this team shoots 32 threes next game. That's all I'm going to say.
They might have so many turnovers, they might not be able to shoot 32
That's
threes.
True. That's true.
I just thought that everybody, for the most part, I mean, this is one of the first games where everybody contributed in a mostly efficient manner. I mean, obviously, Kylan Boswell and Merez Johnson didn't put up big numbers, but they didn't hurt you at all. Boswell played controlled. He had no turnovers. And if you're going to, 6 turnovers in this game is funny when you consider that Minnesota still had less. And I think it says a lot about Illinois is just the most anti-forcing turnovers defense in the country, which is fine, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they're 358th right now defensively in turnover percentage. And then we'll talk about UCLA, but that's where the numbers come in for them. But I think part of this was Illinois doing good things on offense, taking advantage of what's given to them. And the other part of it is just Minnesota's bad. Like I'm stunned that this team has 4 Big Ten wins. They just, 4 of those are in the last 7 games because they started 0-6 in the Big Ten. And they're now 4-9. But Minnesota just didn't look like a very good basketball team. And we'll see where they finish. I think they're probably going to go 6-14, maybe 7-13. I mean, they go USC, UCLA, which I don't know if they'll win either of those games. I'd be pretty surprised. They can beat Penn State at home. They could beat Northwestern at home. Then at Nebraska, I don't think they'll beat Wisconsin, and at Rutgers. So I think that right there is at least 3 or 4 guaranteed losses potentially. So it's tough. You got to wonder what they do with Ben Johnson there. It obviously hasn't worked out. Last year's Minnesota team was a lot better than this one. It had more talent, and they went 19-15, and they won 9 Big Ten games, and this year's a step back. I think they might have an NIL issue there. I'm not 100% sure, but I wonder what this Minnesota team looks like if they brought the hometown kid in, Dane Danger. If it was Dane Danger and Dawson Garcia in the front court, what does this team look like? But, yeah, they were overmatched last night. They don't have Cam Christie anymore. They don't have Elijah Hawkins anymore. They don't have Pharrell Payne anymore. That's what happens when you lose guys like that in the portal or the draft or whatever, and they were bad. They had 2 guys that played well offensively, one of which Illinois is basically giving him the 3 because he was 8 for 31 going in.
Yeah, 25%. He shoots 4 of 6 this game.
And it's not like the sample size is small. I mean, he took 40-plus threes at New Mexico State last year, shot 31%, took 40-plus at Seton Hall the year before that, 31%, took 91 his second year at Pitt, shot 33%, and then 33% the year before. So also, shout out to him being on his 4th school in 5 years. That's impressive.
Yeah, and it's one of those things is like, should Illinois, mostly Humrickhouse, because that's who he usually gets put on, contest that a little bit more? I mean, guys getting pretty comfortable behind the 3-point line. You got to contest a little bit, I think. So Jeffrey says they still need to add more screens in, especially against MSU and Duke and Purdue. Yeah, and that's when teams are going to play defense, which UCLA is only letting up 64 points a game. So they're going to see some defense on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, good numbers. 63% from the field, 56% from 3, and 87% from the free throw line. So Caspers was 6 for 6, Merez 2 for 2. Hummer and Boswell both missed one. So the shooters missed. Also, Boswell decided to take quick 2s now instead of quick 3s, which drives me nuts, but at least in this game, it didn't hurt you as much. Boswell, not a great game from him. 4 points.
I said he didn't hurt him, though.
Rebound. He didn't hurt him. But yeah, this team relied on 7 guys this game. So
I think we should talk about the most efficient player in this game.
Jake Davis.
Yeah, Jake Davis, super efficient.
Yeah, and I don't know if I text you or Scheidwinder. He just has a knack for getting that, weak side rebound and putbacks and finding where the ball is, and then he followed that up with a huge block. Dunk. And shout out to Scheidwinder. Apparently, Illinois lost every game he doesn't catch the tip, and he got the tip this game. So don't ever miss another tip the rest of the year. Sorry,
good. Jake Davis, 15 minutes, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 block, which I think the block was maybe a foul, but a good challenge either way. And then he goes 2 for 2 from inside the 3-point line, had a putback on that tip in, and then made a 3 from the corner. So really solid Jake Davis game. I think, obviously, Trey White didn't practice very much this week, if at all. So he plays 1 minute, has 2 fouls, which is impressive. It wasn't even 1 minute, really. I mean, it was like 40 seconds, 2 fouls. It's pretty impressive. And DGL had 3 fouls in 4 minutes. That's impressive as well, and a turnover. But I think DGL and Trey White are both ill, correct? So
yeah, that's the word on the streets.
And
so.
Keaton Kucher should probably be kicked off the team for hurting the 3-point percentage with that bullshit attempt at the end.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not a medical professional, whatever, but if DGL's fighting the flu, just stay home. I don't know why he's traveling with the team.
I think part of Brad is over exaggerating or making things up.
Yeah,
he might be past the contagious point. He's just, he's still trying to work his way back potentially. But Keaton Kucher's 3-point attempt made them go from 60% to 56%. So what an idiot. What are we doing here? And the only person in that end of game lineup that should be dropping threes is Kerry Booth.
Yeah.
Who would have made a 3 if they would have given him the chance, like I said pregame. He's my player to watch. He had 2 minutes, 2 points. Good game.
Solid. Yeah,
I everybody else.
I don't know. I feel like there's a good chance we see Will Riley in the starting lineup against UCLA.
Nope.
I think there's a good chance. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's
Devo. I'm surprised if Visich played that as much as he did too. So shout out to him.
Based on the personnel, I think they still go Merez, but I could be wrong.
I mean,
UCLA really doesn't have a true center.
Yeah.
But
what?
In terms of size, at least, I guess. I mean, they got guys who play underneath, but I don't know. They don't have any 7-footers. Nobody above 6'10". I mean, they do have a Daymara off the bench, of course. Former big-time NBA prospect, 7'3". But it's when they needed to win a game. Like, tensions were high. I think you need to string wins together now, though, because they haven't won back-to-back games since they won 5 in a row from the end of December to the beginning of January. So you got to win a couple in a row here. It would be really nice to beat UCLA on Tuesday and then go into a Saturday night game on Fox against Michigan State with the opportunity to get a third straight win and kind of get this thing back on track. But for anybody who thought that Illinois was going to lay over and die, wrong. I don't know if anybody thought that, but some might have.
Some spoiled brats might have.
You got to take care of business in a game like that. Like, I'm perfectly fine with them beating a bad team by 20, which is what they should be doing this entire time.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they lost to Nebraska still bothers me. I'm more mad about the Nebraska game than the Rutgers game, and I think Nebraska's better than Rutgers. Stupid. And by the way, Rutgers make a little run here on Maryland. They were down 11 at the half. I think it's down to like 6 now.
6-point game, yep.
Watch out. Big Ten battles. Are there any other Big Ten games today?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I will look. I'm on here.
Oh, there is. Ohio State, Nebraska.
Okay.
Ohio State, big comeback over Maryland earlier this week. Outscored them by 9 in the final 10, 12 in the second half. Bruce Thornton had 31. He's gonna get you sometimes, you know. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this Illinois game. I mean, they're 16-8 now. They're 8-6 in the Big Ten. They haven't lost to Minnesota in like 100 years, and Casper's look good. I feel like I didn't say much about him, but the fact that 24 4-4 with 1 turnover, and his 1 turnover was like with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. That's pretty good. And they played one of the beat writers tweeted that they were using him a bit more off ball, which I think is an interesting way to do things, especially when like Will Riley is becoming a much better playmaker than I would have expected.
Yeah. And I think Brad talked about it last game or the game before about Will running the point, and they've tried to make him uncomfortable because it's not usually what he does. And it seems like that all that has finally paid off for Brad because Will's been unbelievable in the last 4 games. So.
Lottery pick?
I don't know if he's there yet.
I think the scouts gonna be like, "Whoa, this guy can make plays too and get assists." Jeez.
Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff from the line eye of this game.
And
Nothing it makes doing these podcasts a little bit easier. I'll tell you that.
the non-playmaker of the game was Dawson Garcia.
Yeah.
Just awful last night. I wonder if that's got to be the biggest takeaway, other than the fact that Minnesota's plan seemed to suck and they didn't do anything to adjust defensively. But a Minnesota fan's biggest takeaway is also going to be like, why is our best player why was he so bad? And he only took 14 shots. He probably should have taken 44 shots. Like, he'd been playing well going into this. I mean, you look at Michigan, he had 27 and 12. Iowa, he had 20 and 6. Oregon, he had 31 and 6. 21 and 5 against Michigan State, 28 and 4 against Washington, 19 and 14 against Penn State, and then just a dud last night, 12 and 6. Yeah. He's missed 6 twos in each of the last 2 games, fun fact. But they beat Penn State. Is there any team more disappointing in the Big Ten right now than 3-10 Penn State? Jesus. Penn State's got 1 win. 2 wins in the new year and 1 win since January 2nd. Or January 5th, I should say. Pretty bad. Good thing Illinois beat them the way that they did.
Yeah.
Because that team stinks. And right now in the Big Ten, I mean, before we talk about Illinois, UCLA, Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and Illinois are really your tournament locks, right? I guess Oregon's still somewhere in the mix just because of the wins they had earlier in the year.
Yeah. They have 8 quad 1 wins or something.
Yeah, and then they're 5-8 in the Big
Now
Ten. They've lost 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
6 of their last 7. Yeah, I mean, Indiana yesterday. We'll talk about that later, but hilarious. We could do Illinois, UCLA. Now I got some stuff. UCLA, Mick Cronin called them out in January, and they've won 7 in a row now. So
after what did they lose? 5 in a row in that streak? 4 in a row? I guess
they lost 5 of 6.
Okay.
They lost to North Carolina, Nebraska, Michigan, Maryland, Rutgers, beat Gonzaga. They've got wins over, Gonzaga. I don't think Gonzaga is very good, but from a metric standpoint, they are. They got a win over them. They got a win over Arizona. They did lose to New Mexico, which is a great win for New Mexico earlier in the year. But they beat Penn State by 24 yesterday. Defense is the name of the game for this team, and also the return of Sky Clark to the State Farm Center. That'll be interesting there. This is the number 1 defense when it comes to turnover percentage. Illinois is 91st on offense in terms of turning over, which is not bad, by the way. It's not, it's top 100 you'll take. Illinois has 1 game this year against a team that is top 25 in turnover percentage on defense. I don't think anybody could ever guess who that game is against, but let's just say it's a team that I think scored 34 against Illinois, Little Rock. They're 25th in turnover percentage on defense. Illinois had 8 turnovers in that game, so not really a correlation, but
interesting. Yeah,
it's a fact. UCLA is also 9th, or I guess 9th when I wrote this down. Now 8th in adjusted defensive efficiency. Illinois was 23rd when I wrote it down. They are now 23rd still. So defense, both teams, good defenses on paper. UCLA hasn't lost since January 13th against Rutgers. They lost by 7. That was at the rack. Also, their 4 straight losses, 3 of those were on the road. 2 of those were way east, Maryland and Rutgers. Illinois is 3-4 in their last 7. UCLA had 24 points off of 18 Penn State turnovers yesterday. And this is their first road game since January 27th. They've played 3 straight at home. Oregon, Michigan State, Penn State, they won all 3. And they haven't really gone on the road since the Maryland-Rutgers stretch because they went, to Washington and USC in this streak. But they've played 5 of 7, pretty favorable schedule, 5 of 7 home games. And they're taking advantage of it by winning. I said this before we went live, but Illinois has 1 win scoring under 80 points this season, and that's when they scored 66 against Oakland. So that's weird to me. I feel like Illinois, I'm kind of surprised they haven't had a game where they scored like 76 and won.
Yeah. So
the closest would have been Missouri, I guess. They had 80.
Yeah. Illinois going to have a hard time getting to 80 against UCLA.
Maybe not at home.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan scored 94 on them. And that was at UCLA.
Michigan has, yeah.
Illinois got that too. Merez is way better than Golden. Merez doesn't flop around like a bitch like that guy does. People are getting sick of that, by the way. Really sick of that.
Yeah, what happened then? Got the wind knocked out of him, or he
does this every game. He's soft. He's soft. UCLA 36th in strength of schedule, Illinois 13th. Kobe Johnson had 15-13. Hold on. What did I write down here?
Can't read your own writing, or?
I'm just confused.
Oh. 15, 5, 9,
15,
7.
13, and 6. Why did I write 16? He did not have 16 assists.
16 assists.
And Sky Clark's got 14 points in each of the last 2 games. So we'll see. I mean, this feels like a Kylan Boswell, Sky Clark matchup, which is interesting. I feel like, though, they're going to have something for Kasparis defensively. I would think. That's another good point there by Bootzilla is Wisconsin at 80 on. I mean, the best teams they've played in the Big Ten have scored a lot of points against them. So hopefully Illinois can do the same.
Wisconsin scores a lot, though, when they're on, right? Like,
so does Illinois.
I mean, Wisconsin's averaging 81 a game. So
Illinois' got to be averaging something up
85, 3, maybe. Hold on. I did literally just looked at it and I can't remember.
I think Illinois is better than Wisconsin.
I mean, I would agree with that. 85.2 a game is what Illinois is averaging.
Yeah, so they can do that against UCLA at home. Especially when Brad...
If they don't turn the ball over.
Even if they do turn the ball over, I mean, they could turn over 12
True.
times. They'll score 85 in this game.
Okay.
They just got to make threes. They just got to go, 8 for 10 from 3.
Keep shooting 56% from 3.
I'll be curious to see the defensive plan from Cronin here. I think it's going to be the X factor for UCLA. But I think Sky Clark and Kylan Boswell are going to go toe-to-toe here, I would think, right?
That would be my guess, yeah.
I wonder who they have. I guess, they're going to go Kobe Johnson on Kasparis, right? I mean, that's going to be a tough matchup for Kasparis.
Yeah.
We'll see how he responds.
What's their size starting lineup was?
They got Dylan Andrews, 6'2", 180. Sky Clark, 6'3", 210. Kobe Johnson, 6'6", 200. Eric Daly, 6'8", 230. And Tyler Bilodeau, 6'9", 230. A lot of transfers there, too. Sky Clark transferred from Louisville. Dylan Andrews has been there the whole time. Kobe Johnson is a Benedict Arnold level trader. Went from USC to UCLA. Bilodeau is from Oregon State, and Daly is from Oklahoma State. So I think Illinois can perfectly match up with that size. They do have Lazar Stefanovic off the bench. He's a 6'7" wing. They got Sebastian Mack, who's a tough guard, at 14 yesterday. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. Ade Mara, who was I think a 4 or 5-star big from Spain, 7'3", 240. He plays a little bit off the bench. He had a game where he scored 12 and 11 against USC. He also had 22 and 5 against Wisconsin. So he's capable. And then they have a couple guys that played limited minutes yesterday that seem like fake people. William Kyle, that's a fake person, and Trent Perry, a couple of fake guys off the bench there. So important to note that Penn State was technically, I believe, without 2 starters yesterday. Puff Johnson and Niederhauser both didn't play, which Niederhauser doesn't play very much, but he starts. So, and he has actually played 33 minutes the game he went down. And Puff Johnson was starting as well. But still, Penn State's not very good. And Ace Baldwin is the most overrated player in the country. No doubt about it. I mean, it's ridiculous. For Illinois, Will Riley, last 3 games, just a ridiculous run from him. He's averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4.6 assists on 57, 50, 80 shooting splits. He's shooting 50% from three the last 3 games. So he's playing well. And Ken Palm says Illinois wins this game 75-71.
Really? So not scoring an 80.
Well, that's just a computer thing. I think they'll score enough. I would say, since I didn't write anything down for this, but my players to watch would obviously be Casper Siakachonis against a really good on-ball guard, and Sky Clark, obviously, revenge.
Yeah.
Revenge spot for Sky. I mean, Sky Clark's best game this year came against hold on, I'm going to find it. He hasn't really had a best game. I mean, Arizona, he was good, 15-3. So we'll see. We'll see if he comes out and puts up big numbers. I mean, if you remember Sky Clark against UCLA when he was at Illinois, he made some big plays.
Yeah. You went back 3 games with Will Riley. The game before that, he was 40% from 3 and had 16 points. So
yeah, I wanted to include the really elite, that level.
It's literally 2 points difference, but
not enough.
Devo says, I want to see Illinois shoot well at home Tuesday. It seems like they shoot better on the road. Yeah, that's been a problem for some reason. Probably because it's too loud in the State Farm Center to
that's true.
Get their head right. Jay says, my only nitpick at Merez is bringing the ball down a lot. Yeah, I've talked about that. Keeping the ball high would limit blocks, jump balls, and being stripped. He does it, although he does get a lot of phantom calls. I think the coach told Merez just to dunk everything, probably. I think Merez posted up one time yesterday. He got fouled on it, but
Illinois is 1-0 on Peacock this year, I believe. I don't think they played more than one.
Okay. My player to watch would be Merez. I think that there's a chance that he could do some good things offensively against this team. I don't think UCLA is that big. And then I would have to go with Tyler Bilodeau. He shoots at like 40-some% from 3 or something, I believe.
Same initials as you, I guess, is the bias there, and Tom Brady.
Yeah, so he's their leading scorer. I think it's like 13 points or something. But Illinois, it's another 4 that can shoot and do other things. So Illinois got to find a way to shut him down.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Mick Cronin, this game is in his hands in some ways. How does he get this team to play defensively?
Brad beat Mick last time, so.
Yep.
Predictions?
With a bad Illinois team, by the way. That Illinois team sucked. They were good at the time, but that team sucked.
I think Sky Clark scored like 25 that game or something, didn't he?
No, he had like 12, but he made big plays.
Okay. Hit a big 3, I remember.
And he had a cool move to the basket at one point. Then they beat Texas, and then they fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Crypto, $20 super chat. Appreciate you. Hot wings, get you some. Appreciate you, Crypto.
Thank you, Crypto. Shock 217. You didn't say the full name.
Huge supporter.
I think Illinois is going to win this game 81-79.
Really?
I think it would be problematic to give up 79 points in this game, but you got to do what you got to do.
I think Illinois wins this game 77-72.
I'm going to play by the 80-point rule until it's over.
I that's fair enough. You know, you had to pick them to lose against Minnesota, so
had to wake them up,
kick their ass in gear, and so Butzilla says he thinks we're 2-0 on Peacock, IU, and Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Indiana. Yeah,
I don't know. Indiana was a Peacock game.
Yeah, I don't know what UCLA is, but I know for a fact UCLA beat Michigan State on Peacock, and I think they lost to Michigan on Peacock. So I think they're either 1-1 or I don't know if they have more than that, but. Yeah, this is the start of a tough stretch for Illinois. I mean, you look at, the UCLA, Michigan State week, and then the week after you go Duke or Wisconsin, Duke. So, and then Iowa, Michigan, and then Purdue.
Yeah. Tough stretch of road ahead.
They got 7 games left against those opponents. I think if you go 4-3, you got to feel really good.
Yeah, I would.
But I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go 6-1.
6-1 would be phenomenal. I think people got them at like a 6 seed right now. If they go 6-1 to end,
one loss will be they're going to lose to
4?
Michigan. They're going to lose to Michigan. Beating Duke.
I like that. And Purdue.
Yep. I was going to say Purdue, but I don't think Illinois is going to win 6 in a row now. Or I don't think they're going to get to 7 in a row now.
Yeah.
But now's the time to go on a run.
Devo says, I don't know the details on why Sky left midseason, but imagine he's going to hear it from the Crush.
No, he's not.
Because the Crush suck or because...
Well, number one, the Crush doesn't even know who he is because none of those kids pay attention to college basketball. Number two, and they suck.
I think Sky Clark got us Trey White, though. So, cheers for that.
The Crush's Super Bowl is Saturday night, Michigan State.
I think so, yeah.
And then
Purdue at home last game of the season.
And they got to bring it during the Iowa game, too.
13-7 in conference might get us a double bye. Yeah, it definitely helps with UCLA being in front of you 2 games. That's the thing is if they go 13-7, they're handing losses to most of the top half of the Big Ten. So,
yep,
we shall see. But we done? You want to give a Super Bowl prediction?
Couple college basketball things from yesterday.
Oh, sorry, CBB around the CBB.
It's not a full segment.
I got you. My bad.
We got tomorrow's big day. Obviously,
it's Foggy Brain Sunday. Sorry.
I think Alabama should be number 1 now.
Really?
Yeah. They're winning games and they haven't lost since.
Is it because Auburn lost at home by a wide margin, or?
Well, one of the problems I have with Auburn is, by the way, Florida nailed it. Thank you. Florida scored 90 and beat them by 9, and Elijah Martin wasn't playing. I think that's just. I think Alabama 1. I guess you drop Auburn to 2 and Duke to 3,
and Purdue to 4.
Well, I'm producing my top 24 tomorrow for the show. But I'll tell you right now, I have Alabama 1, Duke 2, Auburn 3, Tennessee 4, Florida 5.
Do you have a Big Ten team in the top 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Purdue may or may not be 6.
Okay.
And I have St. John's 8, by the way. And I think I overranked Iowa State, so I might review that. But
I'm surprised you have St. John's that high.
I love St. John's.
That low.
I'd love to have. I'd love to have them 4 or 5. I
was going to say I thought they'd be in that 6 range for you. Coleman beating Hunter again was fun.
Speaking of that, I don't have Kansas anywhere near my top 24. I know that
this is struggling.
I pretty much had to decide do I want to slip Gonzaga in here or Kansas, and I went with Gonzaga because I think Gonzaga is better.
Interesting.
And the amazing thing about the metrics is that Kansas is 11th and Gonzaga is 12th. They're both elite metric teams because of Kansas's defensive efficiency and Gonzaga's offense. But I don't think either of those teams are that good right now. But if I had to trust a team to actually make a run in the tournament, it would still be Gonzaga just because I just think this Kansas team is so not good. They've put one high-level performance out in the past month. It was against Iowa State, who had been struggling, who's lost 3 of 4, but bounced back by beating TCU by 30 yesterday. So Kansas State, it's a shame they started off so poorly. They won 5 in a row now, wins over Kansas and Iowa State. One of those is on the road. They beat Arizona State. They beat West Virginia. They're 12-11, 6-6 in the Big 12. They have losses to LSU, Liberty, Wichita State, Oklahoma State, and TCU, which are pretty bad, which is why I don't think they have any chance to make the tournament. But they're coming along. They beat Arizona, BYU this week. Watch out.
Shout out to me for driving Marquette off the edge and just completely sucking now. So,
yeah, Marquette. That's back-to-back Saturday wins for me if you think about it. I said UConn last week and Florida this week, and I did have Florida over Tennessee last Saturday, but redeemed that on the same day by going with UConn. So it all works out the same. Yeah, I mean, I think Auburn and Duke are probably still the two best teams in the country, but I think you have to have Alabama number one right now. Alabama started 6-2. They're 14-1 since then. Their one loss was Ole Miss. I know it was at home, but they've also got road wins over Texas A&M. They beat Mississippi State, who I don't think is very good, but they beat them on the road. And Alabama's schedule is going to get really hard, so make them number one because they won't be number one the rest of the way. Like they got Texas.
Like a sympathy number one, or
I just think if the number one and number two teams win or lose, and the number three team wins,
I would agree with that.
And the number three teams won 6 in a row, including scoring 102 at Rupp Arena, which is what they are supposed to do because that's what teams do against Kentucky now. Florida did the same thing. But they're stretched to finish the year. They don't play any bad teams the rest of the way. They play a couple teams where like, I don't think they're very good, like Mississippi State and Texas. But then they play Auburn, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn. So it's going to be a tough finish for Alabama, but I think Alabama is going to be very ready to make a run in the tournament by the end of the year. I think Alabama is the team I trust the most to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
They did it last year, and they got a lot of the same guys.
UCLA ranked Tuesday, Illinois not ranked?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any chance the committee keeps Illinois in, or the voter bitches keep Illinois in. I don't think they should either. But, just got to beat Rutgers. If they beat Rutgers, they're right back to like 18 or whatever. Couldn't do it. Rutgers down 7 with 9 to go right now against Maryland, by the way. And Jordan Spieth made a bogey. This is bullshit. Yeah, Alabama's got to be number one. And St. John's impressive. Pitino's done a hell of a job. I mean, it's not like their schedule's overly hard, but their hardest week so far was home against Marquette at UConn. They win both games. Their 3 losses, I think you can understand. I mean, 2 of them were in the battle for Atlantis. They completely blew that game against Baylor, but they lost to Georgia that week as well. And then they lost to Creighton, who's been good of late. But UConn or St. John's is impressive. I worry about their offense a little bit, but they got Villanova and Creighton this week, then DePaul, UConn. Like, I think that their worst case scenario is 17-3 in conference play. They're 12-1 right now. 17-3 means you may lose to Creighton. You may lose 2 of the 3 games to Creighton, UConn, and Marquette. And Marquette, you would think, has got to figure it back out this week. Next 2 games, they got DePaul and Seton Hall both at home. Great time to bounce back. Seton Hall is one of the worst teams that I've ever seen in power conference basketball. And, of course, their one win in the Big East is against DePaul, who is better, but still. DePaul's 2-11 in conference play. That's not a job that you get and you figure it out in year 1.
Yeah. Bootzilla says, how about Duke finally losing with their JV schedule? So we had some people over watch the game, and then we watched the other games. And one of my wife's friends, she's a Purdue fan, gross, but she said, "How is Clemson not ranked? They're 11-2 in the ACC." And I said, "Because it's the ACC." So
the ACC is, the worst it's ever been. And the thing about Duke is their schedule is really easy, and they have 2 elite wins. That's the thing about them. That's why
Illinois is going to beat the brakes off of them, right?
Illinois is going to kill them. It's going to be ugly.
Kill them.
Duke beat Auburn, but that was at Cameron Indoor, and then they won at Arizona, which is a good win. But everybody knows my stance on Arizona. But I mean, Duke's got 2 games that people could consider "quote unquote" hard the rest of the way, and that's Madison Square Garden against Illinois, and then at North Carolina, which is that. I mean, North Carolina is awful. So
yeah.
Right now, if you had to pick National Player of the Year, Cooper Flagg or Janai Broom?
Janai Broom.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I think Cooper Flagg's got the better numbers, but Janai Broom's also doing it against much harder opponents.
Yeah.
But he's also had some stinkers in big games.
True.
By that, I mean 1. Mississippi State, he only had 6 points, but other than that,
let's not get too deep into this. We got a big show coming tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Final thing is I just want to see if there's any good Big Ten games this week, just to kind of, give people a thought. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Why do they keep doing the triple peacock thing?
I don't know.
I don't know if they're doing it this week, but the times don't make sense. Yeah, they are. Well, that's Big East. Never mind. Why is Purdue, Michigan at 6:00, and then Illinois, UCLA is at 7 on Peacock? What's up with that?
Because they're dumb.
Unless Ken Palm is wrong, but I feel like that would be weird to be wrong about that.
No, Michigan, Purdue's at 6 p.m.
What are they doing? It's very confusing.
I don't know.
Well, it's a good game to watch the first half of before Illinois.
Yeah, it's a weird overlap for
think
good reason.
Purdue is going to beat them by 10 if Braden Smith has a normal game. I think Michigan's beatable. They beat Indiana yesterday, but Indiana got back into it.
Yeah.
And Indiana's bad, so.
Yeah, the Peacock games are 6, 7, and 8 o'clock. That doesn't even make sense.
And Dusty May's going to Indiana, apparently.
It's because they don't have anybody on the West Coast.
DePaul Marquette. DePaul Marquette's 6:30, I think, on Peacock as well.
Interesting.
Huge night on that app. Dusty May to Indiana, you said?
Yeah, Dusty May to Indiana for sure. The fact that he didn't say no when asked about it, that's all he needed to say.
If you were Dusty May,
or if said I love it here and danced around it and everything you can do to not actually say I'm going to Indiana.
If you're an Indiana fan, would you rather have Chris Beard or Dusty May?
I think Indiana fans would probably like Dusty May better.
Yeah,
because he's an alum. But as a basketball fan, I'd rather have Chris Beard.
Also, I believe the charges were dropped against Chris Beard. I don't know why people are acting like he's like supposed to be in prison or something right now.
David asked if you like watching games on the cock.
Graphically, yeah. I'm going to answer it like it's a real question.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad product. Good.
Josh Pastner, I think, is the one doing the analysis there. He's fine.
Yeah.
It's better than Big Ten Network. Big Ten Network sucks. Just kidding. Big Ten Network's got some good, you got Beeline on there.
And we'll be doing a watch party Tuesday. I think it's set in stone.
Are you going to the game Saturday?
No, I'm not.
Felt like a classic spot for you to go.
It usually is, but we didn't get tickets. Unless something changes, probably not. So, but yeah, come hang out at the watch party if you don't have Peacock.
This feels like a double watch party week potentially, right?
Yeah, Tuesday, Saturday.
And then the week after, maybe we skip Wisconsin and do Duke or something, or do both. Who knows? Who's to say?
You never know with us.
Could have 4 in a row. I would say guaranteed 3 of the next 4 we'll do.
Yeah. And again, if you come by the watch party, I am going to be sending somebody a shirt. I'll let you pick out what shirt you want. If you want Ethan's ugly face on it, I'll send you that one. Or if you just want a IVP one, we'll send you that one. So.
Good pointer by Bootzilla. They have Andy Katz. They suck. Yep, that's right. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go watch the end of this Rutgers Maryland.
4:00 tomorrow. Countdown to March Madness #1. Lots to cover there with college basketball. So
Ethan might not have his voice for Tuesday, how much he's going to talk tomorrow. So
it's the way it's got to be,
Like, comment, subscribe. We love you guys. We will see you tomorrow if you stop by that show.
Or if you're anti-college basketball, you just like the Illini, we'll see you Tuesday night.
Yep.
Underwood.
Thin ice!